Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Toshi. Today, I'm going to share with you how much gross yield needed when investing in regional property. As you know, there are many properties with high gross yield for sale in the regions. But regional real estate investment has some pitfalls. For example, the risk of vacancies not being filled or the value dropping when selling. If that happens, you might end up losing money even if the yield is high. So you may have the following questions. What should we pay attention to when investing in real estate in the regions? How much risk should we expect in terms of vacancy rates, expenses, and the risk of a decline in the sale price? Also, what kind of areas have low vacancy and other risks and high yields? I will answer these questions based on my experience. Specifically, the following topics will be covered. 1. Why regional property has high gross yield? 2. Minimum yield needed to avoid failure. 3. Areas that are easy to profit from. I started my real estate rental business 12 years ago. I specialized in regional real estate and invested in 25 properties so far. The reason why I was able to keep achieving results with regional real estate is not because I had a large assets or a special ability, but because I did not make a mistake in choosing the property. On this channel, I would like to share my experience, knowledge, specific examples. If you are interested in it, this content will be useful to you. Let's get started. First topic, why regional property has high gross yield? For most of you who are interested in regional property, one of the big attractions is that it has a high yield. But why does it have a high yield? It's because it has a higher risk compared to big cities. I will explain the main risk in three categories. 1. Vacancy risk. Vacancy risk is one of the biggest risks of real estate investment. In regional cities, there are many areas where the population is decreasing compared to big cities. In areas where the demand is lower than the supply of housing units, the vacancy risk will continue to increase. Especially old and deteriorated properties or properties with poor location conditions will have a hard time securing tenants unless they lower the rent. In regional cities, the vacancy risk is said to be higher than in big cities, so you can often buy properties cheaply and get a high yield. 2. Price decline risk. In most areas of regional cities, there is a risk of real estate prices going down as the population decreases. When the population goes down, there are too many houses and many of them are empty. This makes the rent and land prices cheaper and the value of the properties goes down. Also, it is hard to find good properties in the regional cities because there is not much information compared to big cities. Most real estate investors care about keeping their assets and stability, so they are not very interested in properties in the regional. When you buy, you have the advantage of having less competition from other investors. But on the other hand, when you want to sell, you have the disadvantage of not being able to sell easily, and you are more likely to lose money when you sell. 3. Finance risk. Whether financial institutions will lend to the property or not is also an important factor. This is because most of the real estate investors in Japan buy properties with loans from financial institutions. Regional real estate is often considered to have a higher risk than urban areas, and financial institutions in urban areas may impose stricter lending conditions or refuse to lend. For this reason, regional real estate tends to have fewer investors who can buy, and you may be able to buy cheaply and get a high yield. These are the main reasons why regional real estate has a high yield. To actually achieve a high return with investment, it is important to keep looking for properties with low risks without giving up. Second topic, minimum yield needed to avoid failure. Next, I want to talk about the minimum return yield you need to avoid failure. The conclusion is it is more than 12%. When you buy real estate in regional cities, you need to consider things like the occupancy rate, maintenance costs, and the possibility of losing value when you sell. If you do a rough simulation, you will see that you need a yield of more than 12%. I will explain with a concrete example. Let's assume you purchase a property for 30 million yen. The various expenses when you buy it are 10% of the property price. If the yield is 12%, the ownership period is 5 years and the occupancy rate is 80%. The rental income for 5 years will be 14.4 million yen. Also, assuming that expenses such as repair costs and property taxes are 30% of the full rent, the expenses for 5 years will be 5.4 million yen. After 5 years, if you sell it for 24 million yen, which is 80% of the purchase price, the total income and expenses are the same. This means that if the yield is 12%, the balance is 0, but you can handle this level of risk. However, if it falls below 12%, the balance after selling will be negative, and it is more likely to fail as an investment. For example, if you assume that the yield was 10% and calculate the same way considering the risk, the balance after 5 years will be a loss of 1.5 million yen. I also choose properties based on this level of risk, so I have never had a negative balance. But instead, properties that can withstand this risk scenario are not easy to find in the market. So you need to carefully choose properties that have at least 12% yield in the long term. Last topic, areas that are easy to profit from. The benefits of investing in regional real estate are low property prices and high return, but there are risks such as population decline, rising vacancy rates, and natural disasters. So how can you avoid these risks and find profitable areas to invest in? First, choose a city that has a moderate population size, not a big city. The reason is, if the population size is too large, there will be more competition and the property prices will be high and the returns will be low. On the other hand, if the population is small, there will be less renter demand and the vacancy risk will be high. Also, when you sell, you will have a hard time finding a buyer. This is just a guideline, but I think cities with a population of about 100,000 to 500,000 are good targets. Next, check if the property is in an area that is designated as a population concentration district. A population concentration district is an area that the government publishes, and it has facilities that are necessary for living, such as stations, commercial facilities, hospitals, etc. Properties in population concentration districts have high convenience and stable rental demand. Also, these areas are less likely to lose their real estate value in the future. Finally, check if the property is in a place that is less affected by natural disasters. Natural disasters are things like heavy snow, floods, tsunamis, and landslides. Properties in places that are prone to natural disasters are unpopular. If a disaster occurs while you own the property, the land value will drop significantly and you will be at a disadvantage when you sell. Especially in recent years, there have been many floods, so properties for sale near rivers have been unsold for a long time, tend to have high gross yield. Again, let me summarize what I talked about today. Regional real estate investment has the advantage of low property prices and high returns, but it also has disadvantages such as vacancy risk, price decline risk, and finance risk. You need to consider these risks and choose properties that have at least 12% yield. Also, cities with a population of about 100,000 to 500,000 are good targets for investment because there are fewer competing investors. Additionally, the ideal properties are those located in population concentration districts and in places that are less affected by natural disasters. By looking for properties that meet these conditions, you have a higher chance of succeeding in regional investment in Japan. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching to the end. I hope you learned something new and this content was useful to you. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave them in the comment below and let me know what you want to see next. I'll see you in the next time. Take care and have a good one.